Welcome, 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 welcome. This is Kari Heron, and I am live with you. And I would like to think that we're all here seeing how many people are in. We are now live on LinkedIn, is now live, YouTube is live, as well as Facebook is live on Chef and Stewart. I'm Kari Heron. Nice to have you with me. And if you're joining me, I'm talking today about this is the after show of an interview I just had on Smile Jamaica. And there are some questions that have come in. So I want to answer some of them while I'm on here. I see some more people are coming in. But in the meantime, if you're a team live, just say live, give me a comment so I can see the comments and I can display them and show you others what your questions are. So if you also have additional questions, then you can also put them here. But I've got the questions already sent in. The first one was by Neville Burtisbell, who I didn't interview with on air, but he did ask me. He's like, Kari, what's with the name change? Hi, Diane. Nice to meet you. What's with the name change? Because Neville knows me as Kari Alana, my middle name, Morrison, and now he's knowing me as he's seeing that I'm Kari Heron. So I said, Neville, the name change is a branding process, a rebranding process. I rebranded, and that's a short answer. Got married and still kept the name because I pretty much worked a lot internationally and built my brand, my personal brand with my married name. So that's why I am Kari Heron as opposed to Kari Morrison from back in the day. That was a fun question. Neville and I laughed about that one. So, what was it like moving to Dubai? Oh, Dubai was quite an adventure. This was, I would say, 14 years ago. It was quite an adventure because it was so new, so different. I did as much research as I could do before moving to Dubai from the Caribbean. And by the time I was moving to Dubai, I had already been an expatriate. I'd left my home country of Jamaica and I had been living in Turks and Caicos and working in Turks and Caicos with the government of the Turks and Caicos. I had actually moved to the Turks and Caicos to develop a public relations unit for the government of the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I did that at a very young age, about 27 years old. So that was a phenomenal shift. Being in the Caribbean was one thing because I'd been in the Caribbean all my life, but moving to the Middle East was a different ballgame. And it was very different because there's so many people who are in the Middle East. So the world lives in Dubai, really. And so I was hearing languages being spoken all around me, different languages. And I felt like, oh my goodness, have I reached the top of Babel or something? Because it's really very weird to hear so many different languages being spoken around you, especially if you've not grown up in that sort of environment. So that was the first thing that struck me was the multiplicity of languages that were spoken, people from different cultures. It's just, you could be like in a room with people from 25 different countries in any room. That's like bare minimum. So there are over, I think, maybe over 200 and odd people, 200 and odd nationalities living in Dubai. So the transition was really a cultural one. And one of the great things about coming from a journalistic background was I've always been an observer and always been one to question, one to observe. And so it really helped me to be able to ask questions and it helped me to be able to learn more about people, to have more of an inquisitive outlook about what I didn't know, what I didn't understand, rather than forming an opinion of my own and then, making a judgment. So what that did for me was that further expanded my worldview because then I was able to do things differently. I was able to have different experiences. I was able to sit on the floor, learn how to eat with my hands, understand how the sacred invitation of being invited into an Emirati home in Ras Al Khaimah, which is really not something that the vast majority of expatriates get to do anymore because so many of us have violated that experience. So one of the great things about that is really just being able to to see that what we think about the Middle East is not really what exists. And you can't really know that until you go there, not just for a trip either, but to live there. When you live in a place for a while, that's when you really get to understand what's going on. So that's what it was like moving to Dubai. What did you do in Dubai? Is the third question. I first went as a trailing spouse. So I went, got married. Eventually, I started my blog, chefandsteward.com, as part of an initiative. I wanted to develop a business, and the blog was the easiest point of entry. And I couldn't find work initially, so I literally had to make my own work. I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've always been creative, and I grew up with parents who listen. My mother's a fishmonger, my father's a farmer. They make their own work. And so I've had that independent go-getter spirit from birth. I inherited that. And so that's what I did. I went and I created my own work. I started chefandsteward.com, and we ended up having quite a few awards in the Middle East and beyond. Got a few nominations as well for BBC Good Food, Best Food Blog, and so on. My ex-husband also got won awards for his work as an executive chef, as a head chef, working with Waldorf Astoria in Ras Al Khaimah. So it was really, I worked mainly in food, travel, and culture. I ended up getting an offer to write a food column through my editor Sushmita Bose from the Khaleej Times, which is the longest running and widest circulated English language publication in the Gulf, circulated in all six Arabian Gulf countries. So that's what I did in the Middle East, and I did food and marketing. I also ended up I did lifestyle marketing, and I directed marketing for Tavola, which is the largest fine kitchen and table store in the Middle East. So they're like the Williams Sonoma of the Middle East. Why did you become a professional certified coach? Well, it was a really good segue, because coaching, especially neurolinguistic practicing, um, those those resources, those tools were really for me. And for me, it's an extension of my investment in learning about communication and being a student of communication, as I am a practitioner of communication as well. So it really was to give myself first tools that I needed. I found that I was at a place in my life where I didn't feel like I was quite able to level up to where I needed to be. And that was an internal job. And so I went about getting these tools for me initially. Once I got them in the hand for me, then I realized, oh my goodness, this is absolutely powerful for companies and for individuals. And that's why I've expanded the work that I do to include business advice, business mentorship, and also neurolinguistic practitioner type things where I help people find patterns and businesses find patterns that no longer serve them well, interrupt them, and find new ones. So, do you work with companies or individuals? This question. So I practically answered that question before. Yes, I work with both B2B, like business to business, as well as B2C, business to clients. I do individuals as well as businesses for my business mentorship and consultancy. And as well, I work with clients for business clients for my content studio, Chef and Steward. What makes you different from all the other coaches out there? Number one, I really am not, I'm more of a mentor and an advisor than a coach. And I am actually professionally certified. I got certified in Dubai, for both as a international professional certified coach as well as a neuro linguistic practitioner. So it was dual certification, lots of hours, lots of investment with some of the best teachers, member of the ANLP, which is the Association of NLP Practitioners, and so on and so forth. And what makes me different is my approach. I have a very holistic approach with how I approach mentorship with both my business clients as well as individual clients. And it is what makes me different. I My tagline is I feed people, I free people. And so what I do is I help people build healthier and wealthier relationships with themselves and others. And I do that by feeding your body, your soul, your spirit, and your pocket. So I cause entire ecosystems to thrive. Um, how did you meet Martha Stewart? This question. Oh, I met Martha Stewart while I was at Tavola. So we had Tavola. We had at Tavola we had Martha Stewart coming for a book signing in our store in Mall of the Emirates in Dubai. And we had people lining up outside the store. We were live tweeting and stuff. In fact, I still have a book. It's right there on my bookshelf. Everyday Food by Martha Stewart that she actually signed for me as well. So we had lots of people from all the bloggers, uh, all food bloggers coming in, meeting Martha Stewart. So I was able to help to turn Tabora into the foodie haven of the Middle East, and it still resonates. That name still resonates with foodies all over Dubai and across the Emirates, across the Gulf as well, because 15 stores in 6 different countries. So that's how I met Martha Stewart. What made you leave Dubai? That what I left Dubai because my then husband got an offer to be an executive chef in the Caribbean, and so we moved together back as a family. That's the short answer. You mentioned that you've had legal residence for 5 countries, but named 4 in the interview on Smile Jamaica. What's the 5th one? So, for those who didn't catch that part of the interview, I mentioned that I had legal residence for Jamaica. Obviously, I was born, bred, fed in Jamaica, and Turks and Caicos, United Arab Emirates, which is where Dubai is, and Aruba, which I'm currently stationed. I forgot to mention Jordan. I was there for not very long at all, but I did have legal residence for Jordan. How many languages are represented in the countries in which you've lived? Uh, okay, so English in Turks and Caicos, in Jamaica, Jamaican in Jamaica as well. In Aruba, 4 languages are represented. That's English, Spanish, Dutch, and the mother tongue in Aruba is called Papiamento. Papiamento. So those are the 4 languages there. In the UAE, though the world lives there and multiple hundreds of languages are spoken there because the world comes with their languages, right? So the official language of the UAE is Arabic, as well as Jordan with Arabic as well. Do you speak other languages aside from English and Jamaican? Meta enseñando papiamento. I'm learning papiamento. Um, yo aprendiendo español. I'm learning Spanish. I tend to speak more Spanish than Papiamento, and even my Papiamento has a lot of Spanish words in it. Papiamento is made up of 4 different languages, so that's the same 4 languages spoken. Actually, yeah, so 3 languages spoken plus Portuguese. So Portuguese, English, Dutch, Spanish. Those are the 4 languages in Papiamento. And I tend to have more Spanish in my Papiamento than the regular Papiamento speaker because I grew up in Jamaica where we were taught Spanish in school, and I was reading Spanish up to university level. So I read Spanish better than I actually speak Spanish, but I default to speaking more Spanish than Papiamento. But mitas enseñando Papiamento. I'm learning Papiamento. And I shwe Arabic, very little Arabic. I still actually call my son sometimes in Arabic and tell him stuff in Arabic. All right. What do you? What made you? Okay, now what made you leave Jamaica in the first place? I felt like I had come to a point in my career. At 27, I was the head of the Caribbean chapter of the International Association of Business Communicators, which is the IABC. I had 14 countries in my portfolio, including Suriname, Guyana, which are South American based, but we still draw them in the Caribbean chapter. Trinidad as well, also as part of the IABC Caribbean at the time, until Judith Coward started a new chapter by itself in Trinidad and Tobago for IABC. So I had those 14 countries. I had literally felt that I needed to be a small fish in a big pond. I needed space to grow. So one of the things that I needed to do was to put myself in a very, 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 very big pond and force myself to grow a lot more. Love you, girl. Morning. Okay, I'm getting some comments and I'm going to put some comments in. Love this. So I needed to expand, I needed to grow. And that's why I decided to leave Jamaica. I felt like I just needed to take a break. I needed to learn something new. And I felt like I loved change and I wanted to be able to throw myself literally off the deep end and either sink or swim. There's no two ways about it. You either do it or you don't. I was either going to live my life, um, in the comfort of the same, or I was going to do something drastically different that made me feel like stupid sometimes for doing it, but I would learn significantly in the process. And I have indeed learned significantly in the process. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. Um, what has living abroad helped you to appreciate most about Jamaica? Being Jamaican is just a vibe. It's just a vibe. It is an unparalleled vibe. And it's an essence that is so sweet. I was asked a question very similar when I was 23, I think, when I went to for Miss and won Miss Kingston and St. Andrew for Festival Queen. It's really very hard for me to put into words what makes Jamaica Jamaica for me. But one of the things I miss most about Jamaica is, and one of the things I appreciate most about Jamaica is just that vibe, that Jamaicanness, that the sense of owning in Jamaica. It's it's going to the movies and having the running commentary in the audience where people are talking back to the movie screen. So, in other countries, people watch a movie. In Jamaica, people interact with a movie. So oftentimes when you're watching even a movie in Jamaica, you're gonna be getting a funnier joke from the audience than the actual movie itself. So we definitely put our mark upon everything. The commentary, I remember going back home for one of the Olympic qualifiers, and you know somebody was really far behind but was still very, very focused on finishing the race, and just out of the blue one guy just stood up and just said, "Run, Forrest, run!" And the whole place just like teared up. We're just dying with laughter. So it's Jamaica is a very funny, we know how to really laugh. You know take serious thing, make jokes sometimes. It cuts the harshness sometimes with the challenges of life. It is a gift of it's a gift from God for us to be able to laugh. And Jamaicans know how to laugh and how to make people laugh. And Jamaicans love to make people laugh. So I miss that, and I miss Jamaican food. I miss the spices. I appreciate just how a place like this really has had an indelible mark on the world. It's irreplaceable. There's so many Jamaicans or people of Jamaican descent who are in the world in different countries who are doing great work, because there's something about the Jamaican upbringing that really stewards a lot of us for success, and that's something I'm 100% appreciative of that. My cultural heritage is one that really predestines me for success, and I appreciate that. What do you miss about your home country? Family, family, family for sure. Family, food, the same Jamaican vibe. Can you imagine that replicated over and over and over in every circumstance? Jamaica is green, very green, very restful. You have different. You can go from one thing to the next. There's so, it's all things for all people. You can definitely have a lot of things going on there, and the food, like, I can cook amazing food. I know this for sure, if I might say so myself. But seriously though, I do have a 5-star cooking course, so yeah. Others have verified. But outside of that, there's some things that are grown in Jamaica that are unparalleled. Like, I have allspice from my father's farm in Jamaica, and I only use allspice from my father's farm in Jamaica because best allspice is from Jamaica, best ginger is from Jamaica, thyme, onions, scallions. It's just, everything is just so much richer and more. The fruits are just so much sweeter and richer and more colorful and intense. We're fertile people, gifted with abundance in many ways. Oftentimes we don't see it because we're in it, but we are gifted with great abundance. Uh, which country has been your favorite? That's hard. That's hard. That's hard. Because every country has had a really very special place in my heart. You can't help but fall in love with people that you've lived with, you've done life with, you pay taxes and suffered along with. um, but the one thing that was really surprising for me was that it was very hard to adjust to Dubai initially, extremely hard. But that sandpit, which is what we call it, grew on me. And I miss Dubai a lot. I miss a lot of things about Dubai. I miss the ability to eat multiculturally in very cheaply as well, because the world lives there. So you can get all types of food, and I had so many different from all over the country, all over the world. But every place, having said that though, every place is still special to me in its own way, including the place I live right now, which is Aruba, one happy island. You mentioned that living abroad has expanded your worldview. Give examples. Oh my goodness, there's so many. There are two things that come to mind though. One is just how we eat. Like, I've got Filipino friends that I met in Dubai, and when they eat, their meals are a production. It's like Christmas every day for every meal. No matter what it is, no matter how humble the meal is, it's never just one thing. It's never like, like steak and potatoes or rice and beans. It's quite a few different things put together in a meal. So you may be having like 3, 4 things on a plate and so on and so forth. Even if they're humble things, it's always a spread. And people cook together, people clean up together. So it's the whole idea of fellowship is like, it's a ministry in the Philippines. Food is a ministry, and that has really impacted me in a significant way. And that's also how I approach food in my business as well, when I do events that relate to food and courses that relate to food, because I do have the content studio, chefandsteward.com, and we do a lot with food. We develop recipes, do food styling, food photography, etc., and food experiences, as well as lifestyle experiences and retreats. All right, what else? So that was one thing. What else has it done? I think the most important thing for me is that it's allowed me to grow internally, spiritually. I've had to find a deeper anchor as a person, as an individual, so that, because whereas when you are in your environment that around your family, your close friends, and so on, you have people and systems around you. I've had to find center internally and upward. So I've had to cultivate a deeper relationship with myself and also with God in this process. So I've grown. My identity is so much more secure. My attachment is not in people, even though I love people and have really very strong, great relationships with people, and I actually embrace relationships easily. But my main attachment, is to my God and Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. And that has been a fundamental um, shift for me. And that has really expanded me. And then I see, because of that, and I see God in everything, and I can see God in his people and all over in different cultures as well. And I can respect and honor people, even if their thinking is different from me, their logic is different from me, even if their ways of life are different from me. I also appreciate that we can grow together. I can learn from different cultures, and different cultures can also learn from the perspective that I bring, which is quite unique as well. So lots of growth that has happened in terms of my expansion and worldview expansion due to me having lived in so many different countries as an expatriate. Okay, lots of questions here. Uh, what are some of the challenges of expatriate life? I think I answered that already. Um, yeah, because even now, I want to say this though, even now, like I live in a foreign country with a child on my own, and my mother came from his birth in Dubai, which is dear to me forever. But I would have liked him to be able to be closer to his relatives and so on. But we still talk with video and all of those things. But hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more traveling, and he'll be able to make up for time lost because this pandemic is behind us now. What other questions are there? You mentioned, okay, would you return to Jamaica? On the heel of what I just said, absolutely. I will return to Jamaica like 6 times a year, no matter where I'm stationed. I would gladly do work with companies in Jamaica and individuals in Jamaica. I would gladly do take on speaking engagements as well as a speaker in Jamaica. So I am open to lots of possibilities working. I would love to be able to bring some of the things that I've learned to my people and to share um, what I've honed and what I've gleaned to help to build my country as well. So I would love to be able to work with Jamaicans. I would love to be able to work with Jamaican companies. And I would also, I'm not going to say if God leads me to Jamaica, absolutely. I go wherever he goes. Wherever he sends me, I go. Um, and I wasn't rejected from Jamaica. No, never. That's home. Who were the Smile Jamaica team members when you produced the show? Okay, so Neville Bell was my regular. Neville and Simon. I had Simon as well. I had Simon a lot. I had Neville the most, Neville and Simon the most. And sometimes I had Simone and Simone Clark, and sometimes I had Dahlia, and sometimes we had Carlette Delian. And the executive producer was Claudette Robinson. She'd kill me if I called her Claudia. It's Claudette Robinson. And Kay Osborne was general manager at the time. And I remember that TJ Trevor Johnson was the on location producer, and Alia McDonald was, I think, head of the producing team. She also produced Smell. Jermaine Whitaker, who's gone on to be a filmmaker, Jamaican filmmaker, was also a producer on Smile alongside me. Yeah. Keisha, I remember Keisha, and Tracy Ann Wayne was a was a production assistant. Laudia was floor manager. We had Clevans, Wilson. We had is it Robert, Ricky on sound, Louis, Everald, so many people. Yeah. Can't remember everybody's name. Well, everybody's name doesn't come to mind right now, but I know all the faces. Um, do you do? Oh, here's a question. You do commercial and editorial food and lifestyle photography. How did you get into photography? Yeah, so question is kind of weird, but yes, I do editorial food and lifestyle photography. How did I get into photography? I started in photography when I was 6. Well, actually, I started at 9. My father gave me. I started shooting with my father's camera. Then I got a camera as a gift when I was 9 from my aunt and uncle when I visited Cayman Islands, and it was a 9mm camera. Remember those that looked like the number 8, sort of? So I had one of those, and when I was 16, I did a photography course at CPTC. I did all of my initial media training at CPTC, the Creative Production and Training Center, which is now MIT. MTI, don't ask me what it stands for because I left before it changed. So CPTC, Carl Dawson, his brother was Ken Dawson at Gleno, who was a photographer, the head photographer at Gleno. And Carl taught me photography, still photography. That's how I got into still photography, period. When I went to Dubai, I started taking courses with Neil Corda, who is an acclaimed Australian food photographer, commercial food photographer, and I've done courses with Lou Lou Lumano and others. I've done a lot of courses. I've done food styling workshops with Fiona Archibald as well, who is a commercial food stylist. So I've invested a lot of time and work and hours in developing and honing my food styling and food photography. And people have asked me to teach food styling and food photography. And perhaps I will. Perhaps I'll get around to it one day. Let me know if you want me to do that. How did you get on Top Chef Middle East? Well, one of the producers out of Lebanon saw my work and invited me to be a guest judge on Top Chef Middle East. I was invited 2 years in a row. The second year, I had just left Dubai, so I didn't get to do the second season, unfortunately. But that was fun. They were cooking out in the middle of the desert. It was really cool stuff. Do you have a cookbook? I have an e-cookbook. Um, I'm ready for a good cookbook deal. I feel like I've been doing this. I've been representing Jamaican food and Caribbean food. I'm talking about Caribbean and Jamaican foodways, Afro-Caribbean, Jamaican, and foodways for the past 14 years internationally, and one of the first Black food bloggers. Uh, and we were a small group, so we all knew each other. We all supported each other. It has grown phenomenally, and I'm very, very happy to see that expansion. And yeah, I'm open to having a cookbook deal. But I do have e-cookbooks. You can find those things on chefandstewart.com. But you can find everything, actually. You can find me at Chef and Stewart, as you can see on the screen, and you can find all things related to me through KariHeron.com, including the blog. And from the blog, you'll be able to find my e-cookbook, which is a Caribbean Dinner Party Roti Edition cookbook. What is your food blog? It's chefandstewart.com. I don't have that here. Okay, let me see what other comments are there. So proud of you. Thank you, Mama. Hi. Oh, listen, I was supposed to say hi to this wonderful lady. She is my second mama. She is mi madre. She is so very special to me. So everybody say hi to Kathy Marie Cook. In fact, this woman is the woman who inspired me to get in the kitchen and to get off the kitchen stool and really start throwing down in the kitchen, not only becoming great in the kitchen, but helping people to turn any house into a home, becoming the doyen of entertaining that I've now been called as a result. So I owe all to Kathy Marie Cook, who is the big woman in the things. Requisite professional integrated marketing communicator and public relations consultant, as well as a food specialist in and of her own, a chef in the pastry department. Phenomenal, phenomenal work. The best baker I know. The best baker I know, and she refuses to give me her recipes. The only recipe she's ever given me for any cake is 1, 2, 3, 4 cake. She's holding them very tightly to her chest, but we'll see how long it will last. The love will outlast that what she's holding out on. Do I still do food photography and food styling? Yes, I do it for chefandsteward.com, and I continue to do so. All right. In fact, Deborah, hi Deborah. Deborah was in my cooking class. Hi Deborah. Nice to see you. What are your social media handles? And I'm gonna put that back up for you guys. I'm at Chef and Steward everywhere. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere at Chef and Steward. What other question? Somebody asked me a question about working in Aruba. Let me find it. And if you have any questions here, let me know. Oh, here's a question. What are the prospects of moving to Aruba to work, and what are the skills? The skill needs there's a question. Moving to Aruba to work is a very challenging thing right now, because it's very, very, very challenging to get permits, and even businesses that are established businesses and hotels and so on are having a really hard time getting permits, and it's even permit renewals are also taking very long. That's a very difficult situation. My permit, for the past 2 years has been really a challenge. So I would say get a job first and have the permit approved before coming, but that could take over a year or nearly a year from your original offer. So I would not quit my job if I'm in another country to make that move until I'm given the go ahead. Because if you quit your job thinking that you're gonna start working in Aruba and you're not free to fly, then you might be in problems. So I would say still work, and then at the point where your permit comes through, then you fly. There are lots of needs here because Aruba is a small country. We have like about 100,000 people registered legally, 120,000 people in such a small island. So there are lots of specialized skills, especially that are not necessarily on island. So the more specialized your skill sets are, the better off you will be. Things like tourism are in high demand because that's the mainstay of the economy. And so, but especially the higher skill sets are harder to come by. And those are the kinds of permits that are more likely to be given. I am a business owner myself, so I'm on my own business permit. So that's also an opportunity for investors to invest as well. And so skills needed are higher skilled ones, things that are related to hospitality, and complementary skills as well, complementary industries. So I would assume that things like sustainable management of the environment also would be keen, and medicine as well, etc. There's a shortage of a lot of workers, but there's a problem with the issuing of permits, and that's higher than my pay grade. I don't work in the government, so I'm not able to speak on that specifically. Any further than that already. And I see another questions here. God bless you. Love what you're doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so I just thought it would be a good idea to come in and literally answer some more questions that came out of the interview that I had this morning on Smile Jamaica. So that's what this whole session was about. And if you do want to work with me, I am available. Just go to kariheron.com/apply if you want to work with me in one of my coaching programs. I am offering a very great offer. Like I've never done this offer before. I've opened up a few slots for people who are ready to maximize their income for 2023 using your knowledge, your skills, and your expertise, and leveraging that to creating highly profitable businesses that are either online completely or a hybrid of online and face to face. So if you're a professional who's looking to really improve your bottom line, or if you are a business owner who's trying to find some ways to automate your business, then this is for you. It's very important for us not to raise the banner from what it is that we're comfortable with earning into getting into a stratosphere, a higher place where we can be blessed to be a blessing. So yeah, we're comfortable with $1. But if you had $20, then you could take your dollar, and what could you do with that other 19? You could be a blessing to others. You could provide work for 19 other families, perhaps. And so I'm using that in a very simplistic way to say, let's not put a limit on the abundance that we are able to bring in, because the more abundance we have, the more we have in the storehouse, it's the greater ability we have to weather anything that comes, not just for us, but for those connected to us. And that's critically important in this day and age. So I invite you to apply to work with me. I have a 3-day limited offer where I've opened up a few spaces in this program for a few people because I felt led to do so. And I'm going lower than I've ever gone. So apply now, sign up within the next 3 days, get this unbelievable offer, and let's go and take the world by storm together. If you're an expatriate who also wants to be able to create an income stream independent of your expatriate assignment, or if you're a trailing spouse, this is also for you. Because of my experience, I'm able to give advice in those departments as well. And if you're in transition, moving from one place to the next, this is also for you. I don't do one size fit all. I tailor according to each person. So this is why I feed people, I free people, and it's a tailor fitted approach that allows each person to literally walk into destiny and profit from your destiny, because it was God's plan for us to prosper in the first place. So our destiny must bring us prosperity. Prosperity, not just materially, but prosperity, mind, body, spirit as well. All right. So I'm Kari Heron. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. For those people who've been watching, if you have other comments, let me know by now. But you can sign on to me at kariheron.com/apply. It has been great talking with you. And I will see you. I want to hear from you. kariheron.com/apply. I'll see if I can type a link for you to get in the comments, and so you can go and just click and access to work with me. And that did not come as a link, so I'm going to type it properly as a link. So those are the questions this morning. I loved being with you guys. I need to come live more often. I know, right? I keep on saying that. Still doesn't show up as a link, but if you go to kariheron.com/apply, you'll get it, right? So message me, and we're gonna do this thing together. Again, thank you for your time. See you until next time. I'm Kari. Walk good.